president's residence, angry residents have now stormed into temple trees, the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's residence. So, after storming into the presidential palace and capturing virtually the presidential palace, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence, now the protesters have stormed into temple trees, the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's residence, Ranil Wickremesinghe's residence. I'll go across to Akshay again, who is of course live with us. Akshay, now Ranil Wickremesinghe facing the ire and the fury of the protesters on the ground. He, you said, possibly could be assuming the role of the president, but clearly looks like the people want him out as well.
When Mahinda Rajapaksa stepped down on May 9th, the next few days were very crucial for people of Sri Lanka, and all eyes were on how Gotabaya Rajapaksa was to decide on who the next Prime Minister was. And many of them were pinning their hope that the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and his party, Samaji Janabala Vedike, will be the one which will be forming the government, was the popular public sentiments polemic. That was what we understood also when we were in Sri Lanka as well. But what had happened was, when Sajith Premadasa, who refused to take up the prime ministerial post unless and until Gotabaya Rajapaksa was to step down, had a big disappointment when Gotabaya Rajapaksa approached Ranil Wickremesinghe, and he readily accepted. So even when Ranil Wickremesinghe got into the shoes of the Prime Minister in a late night drama, it was seen that the public sentiment in large was doubting him. But we also need to remember that Ranil Wickremesinghe is not a new face. He is the Prime Minister of the country for the 5th time. So the people of the country did pin hope on him, and he had given a very promising statement to India today when he spoke for the first time after becoming the Prime Minister. And he said that he will be bringing back the economy of Sri Lanka. He will revive it, and he has a plan, and that will be executed in the coming months. But what has happened ever since Ranil Wickremesinghe taking charge was that it was only disappointment for the people of Sri Lanka. He tried approaching IMF, he tried approaching World Bank and several other countries and other monetary agencies, but nobody had stepped forward to help Sri Lanka the way they had demanded. So what happened was, the debt crisis kept increasing, the economic situation kept increasing, the kind of deficits that was there in the country and the shortages that were there in the country just kept piling up, which meant the public sentiments, public angers towards Ranil Wickremesinghe was also increasing only. So today's kind of protest that we're seeing in Sri Lanka is just the public sentiments which has been piled up for months together, and this is the way that they are able to showcase that their dissent towards the leadership and the political structure which is right now in place. They have been demanding a change, a new system, new faces, and will that be given is something that we'll have to see. And again, coming back to the new faces, what we're seeing in the political system, most of the MPs who have been selected are people who have already been in position of power prior. So, you know, the faith on this political clan has gone down among the public is what we can understand, and they are looking forward for a solution from which Sri Lanka can reel out. Because, you know, while we were in Sri Lanka, we had spoken to several students who had come there at golf-face and who were sitting on protest. College students, school students had all managed to come there, and they were repeatedly talking about how even for writing for their exams, they were not getting papers because papers were getting expensive. They were not able to make paper. They were not able to import paper. So all of it was getting difficult. The crisis of the pandemic followed by the economic crisis, all of this has piled up and has been affecting the common man. And that fury of the common man is being witnessed, and clearly Ranil Wickremesinghe too is losing the plot, and he is also not having a favorable scenario right now amongst the protesters who are there at Golf Face Colony.